All right, so managing the trade properly. So once you're in a trade, managing it the right way is just as important as the entry, right? So my stop loss always goes below the wedge, and if we start breaking out, but then we reject the zone and we touch, our stop loss area, we will see how price reacts to the zone, and if we end up pushing lower, then we get stopped out. We take our stop loss, right? Which is completely fine, completely normal, right? Everybody loses trades. I lose trades all the time, so there's nothing wrong, and you have to abide by your stop loss, right? In regards to risk to reward, don't stress too much about perfect risk to reward numbers because the setups that we take are A plus only, and they have a high win rate, high probability, and they usually give us explosive moves anyways. And when everything lines up in our favor, the risk to reward takes care of itself because the percentage return is already pretty significant, right? And overall, regarding the setup, the setups that we trade are the same thing every single time. And the only thing that really changes is the market momentum because sometimes the moves are massive and sometimes they're smaller. It really just depends on the market environment, right? Not necessarily the setup. But also, just keep in mind that typically the larger the consolidation or the wedge, usually the bigger the move, right? So, yes, it's the market environment, but it is also how big the consolidation and the wedges are and how clean they are as well. So, and for exiting the position, you always, always, always want to sell into strength. Okay, so as you're scaling out of your position, you are selling into resistance or support if you're taking puts, right? But you're selling into that level as there's strength, okay? And you always want to sell a little bit earlier because that will pretty much guarantee your fills, right? Because the difference between selling into strength and selling as we're coming back down can be a difference in 10, 15, 20% on the fills, right? So again, as you're selling into resistance, you want to sell into the strength so you can get a better fill potentially. And for selling into strength, I'm selling at the bid, okay? But when you sell into bid and you sell into strength, you typically get filled at the ask anyways, right? So